wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about a recent experience I had and how it translated into the game, strangely. And that was kind of one of the things that kind of gave my mind something to do to calm it during a recent experience I had, just very recent. Uh, and the first time in over a decade, I found myself in a hospital gown. So I had a bit of a scare. Spent the morning in the hospital very recently, and it was strange because I thought it was one of those things where it had all the signs of something that was very, very bad, but it may not have been that. Thank goodness, well, it wasn't. They put all sorts of tests through, and I wanted to talk about how I felt like the experience of a hospital it was realistic and how it wasn't in the way the Star Citizen is treating it. The first thing that's interesting is in this wonderful game that we have, we will have machines that will be able to tell you what's wrong with you, or your friend, the very least, your workmate, can scan you for your injury and attempt to determine it with the multi tool scanner. I don't know if it'll give you everything, but that's not the way real life works. You don't know what's wrong with you. You just have indicators, you have signs. And people without that multi tool will also have that issue of there may be something major, it may be something far less severe that is impacting you. And until you get finally fully checked out and get fixed up, who knows what could happen. Well, when you do go through the process, when you do manage to get to the hospital, so you decide, okay, it's bad enough, let me go get checked out just to be safe, etc., etc. That hospital has to be 24/7. It can't be, regular hours and just hope for the best. It has to be able to respond to any unique circumstances. In our case, we have the tiers of medical beds, the first, second, and third tier. And each tier, as you go down the number, strangely, one being the highest, it can handle worse and worse situations. And also, one of the other interesting things is there is a lot of automation in the systems in the game. You literally take your friend or you stumble yourself into the hospital, they put you in the elevator, you scoot up to a room, and you magically are fixed. And I don't know how long that's going to take, what experience it is. Remember, it is a game, but I did find it interesting that in real life there was a lot of modularity to the systems they had. Lighting that was pivoting on the ceiling. They were able to have systems that were hanging off the wall on arms, so they can move them around. So if they had to move, it looks like if they had to move the bed, they would be able to reconfigure the room to whatever the requirements were. And I felt like that would make the systems we have in game make a lot more sense. There is a certain level of comfort you have when the people around the system have you can tell they know their stuff, they know their systems, they're able to work those and quickly get the answers they need. One of the other big surprises I found was that they had a portable X-ray machine. I had no idea that that was actually a thing. That was just normal, totally normal. Thing looked extraordinarily heavy, but it had like a battery operated motor, it looked like. And it was literally just an arm with an X ray, and they pull out the panel, they put the panel behind you, and then they zap you. And that's it. They have the aprons and everything right on the cart. And I thought that was amazing. Um, it was really a weird experience, but at the same time, once again, I've been in a hospital in a gown at the very least, not just visiting somebody, in over a decade. And you never get truly comforted, but in a weird way, thinking of games and game design and stuff like that distracted me. And it gave me something to kind of look forward to, and they the whole thing that I can take away from it is when I take a look at the designs in the game, I feel like a lot of it feels like it hit the nail on the head, and some of it did miss. Uh, for example, the workflow to get somebody into the hospital requires them to figure out what's going on with you and also your information. It's not just for insurance. I'm not going to weigh in on that. I'm not going to talk about RL insurance and other hospitals, V hospitals, or whatever else. This is about the game. And I'm trying to take my experiences and relate them to the game. So that's the focus. But at the very least, they got your information in case there's something, your condition worsens. And they need to know who to be able to contact. And I'm going to break the RL rule one more time, and I'm going to talk about just a reminder to have in your cell phone, right at the top of your contacts list, ICE. It's your emergency contact, your ICE. Be sure to have that. Think about or have a piece of paper in your wallet next to your your identification and such. Maybe just a post-it note with your just at least the first name of somebody who's your emergency contact. Put that there and put their phone number, their cell phone, not their home phone, their cell phone. So if anything ever happens to you, somebody will be there to look out for you. That was one of the things I want to just mention. But anyway, back to Star Citizen. I think that the way the design of the first floor of the hospitals is done in many cases works well. I don't think that the reception area is weighed in enough though. It needs to be the reception and insurance really should be at the front doors. So they literally right as you enter, if you're not entering via ambulance or something, or Cutlass Red, uh, there is this process where literally the intake starts with them. Also, I'm going to state the obvious here, but they're not going to let you run upstairs with a shotgun on your back. So there needs to be some sort of security element where they go in and they say, look, we're going to take your stuff, but we're going to put it in this storage locker, and it's going to be safe. You have the code and your emergency contact if it comes to that. In Star Citizen, obviously, you would if something bad enough happened, you'd respawn right there at the hospital so you can grab your gear. So that's not a problem. In real life, it's a little different. But, but the thing of it is, I think that that's the process that would make sense, is a workflow where you come in the door, they know who you are, they point you and route you in the correct to the correct location for whatever your specific issue is, or if it's severe enough, they take you into the ER, and then they ER you in via the bed, the medical bed, or a wheelchair, etc. In real life, it's a wheelchair, by the way. Fun fact. And the most of the time. So there is a lot of things that I can say that I would take away, but I am not a medical professional in any way. I just wanted to wrap that up and mention that these are just experiences from the user case of what a hospital could be like and what I think they nailed and what they didn't. One of the other shocks to me was the placement of hospitals. I think that the teams were stuck in a certain locations that were not optimal. They are some of them are like for example, New Babbage is both not optimal and optimal, and I'll explain. It's next to the primary residence where you respawn, where you log in from if you landed there, etc. Uh, it's literally like downstairs. You go in the elevator, you go to the lobby of there, and instead of going down the stairs to go to the commons to go shop or go to the bar, meet up with folks, or you go to the spaceport. Instead, you simply just walk forward past those stairs, and it's now just there, Brentworth Care. And one of the biggest surprises to me is I have never seen a hospital designed like that. That may be something localized to me. And once again, I'm trying to dance around any type of topic that is sensitive here. But I have not seemed to see residential neighborhoods that have the buildings directly attached. Then again, we don't live in a place that has, temperatures that are negative 100 Celsius, Fahrenheit, whatever. Uh, I feel like that, even in I had the pleasure a couple years ago of going to Fairbanks, Alaska for the winter for a long weekend. And by the way, that's the cheapest time to go to Alaska, best time to see the Northern Lights. And the locals are the only people there, aside from a few other tourists with the same bad idea as you. And it's a great time. But one of the things that surprised me about Fairbanks was it was a full fledged city. You can go there with absolutely almost no gear at all and have a good time and basically go to a nice restaurant, which is very affordable. I cannot stress how affordable things are there unless you want something out of season. You just eat what they eat and everything's going to be good. You get whatever the special is, and everything's going to be great. So, uh, Fairbanks, though, is an anomaly. Everywhere else in the interior of Alaska, so that's like the part that's not next to the ocean, not next to the Pacific on the south side. Uh, it, it, it's 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 actually where people work, like in the oil drilling industries, the pipelines, the military, the tourists for like the sled dog teams and that kind of stuff, like tourism, and for workers that are, and people just trying to subsistence live too. It's their most dangerous season. It's the roughest. The minute you leave Fairbanks, just a couple miles outside, the towns suddenly change. Every single thing has like 16 different purposes to it because it has to. When you go into a general store that's also the breakfast lunch place, that's also a gas station, that's also a convenience store for like not just general store needs, but like literally like they're almost like a studio pharmacy. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but um, nothing illegal. I mean, like just genuinely like it does anything and everything it needs to do um, to survive. And I feel like that is the quintessential uh, place that New Babbage is, but they're richer. They have that big city atmosphere combined with the survivalist and aspects where everything combines into one. That also happens to have a giant shopping mall that's just these huge biomes, attached to each other. So I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know. I can't help but wonder what exactly is the correct placement for hospitals in Star Citizen. I think planetary landing locations are a good spot to start. I think the R&Rs make a lot of sense, where literally you'll respawn, so to speak, or get healed up right next to the elevators and ASOP terminals for your ships. I can't ask for a better combination than that. Um, I don't want to. I'm curious. I think it's one of those things where we have to see how it's going to look in game before we can pass judgment. So then we look at the opposite of that, where we have Lorville, Maria Pure of Heart. Maria Pure of Heart is a hospital that is not just on top of the residences. And then we also look at Orison with Orison General, that is also not right on top of the residences. Both of which are not near the spaceport either. They are on the location where the residences are, and then you have to catch a shuttle in the case of Orison, or you have to catch the train when it comes to Lorville. Additionally, now that I'm thinking about it, Area 18 is in the same situation. You have to catch a shuttle from Area 18, but it's closer than the residences are to that shuttle than either of the other two I just detailed, as far as I can. Yes. So all three of those are in that category of require just as much work to get to to get to your spacecraft or your ground vehicle as it would take to get from your residence. So I'm curious if some people that are more active play styles that might get hurt a little more often or unfortunately die once in a while because they're flying smaller ships, more combat oriented, might want to be in places where the feed, just so to speak, the direct action to get to your ship, to get to your ground vehicle, and get to your ride, so to speak, is much quicker. And I think the station is going to be the winner of that contest. Because plain and simple, the R&R stations, now I can't speak for Grim Hex yet. I'm not quite sure where Green Imperial's going. I'd have to go back in there and take a look. But and try to play guesstimations of where it is compared to the preview and the white box preview we've seen. But if it is like the R&Rs, that'd be interesting. Aside from Grim Hex's notorious reputation and It's rough and tumbleness. Even at the hospital itself, they said you'll be able to get shot at from players, literally while you're getting treated at the parking garage there, um, so to speak, the parking pad. Uh, there is something else to be said, though. I think the R&R stations are the best neutral ground. I think that a lot of those, if you're not, unless you're like the most hardened of hardened criminals, I think you can clean yourself up enough to be able to get into one of those, and I think the R&Rs are going to be pretty interesting. You don't have those unified security forces as heavy as like a planetary location, and I, yeah, yeah, I like the idea of the R&Rs being that way, where they're not extremely strict. They're more open minded about people that may have angered one corporation or another, and they're just trying to make their way in the universe. And the other thing about it is the the way those hospitals are, where you literally get healed up or respawn right next to your ship. That speed is going to be useful, not just for you, but also for your workmates and everything, your friends, being able to get back in the game. Nobody wants to be dragging you around everywhere, and you don't want them to have to anyway. You want to be able to get back and have some fun together. So I can't help but think until outposts come in, and then we have to see if they have any medical tie-ins, medical services that could be offered, or say, dare I say it, the Kraken Privateer has some type of or in Banyu Merchantman, if they could have some type of medical clinics, at least the very least, that are a little more advanced, um, or the correct ship is laying around, your Apollos or capital ships, etc. I just and assorted other ships with decent beds. I can't help but wonder if people are going to have one method or another that they're going to rely upon, and that's just going to become the lowest common denominator, living out of R&R stations. Basically, ending this requirement to go all the way down to the planet to get health treatment for serious injuries. If you keep getting them, it's going to make you, by its very nature, a station person, a belter, so to speak. uh, and until outposts come in to kind of equilibrium things, where you can easily just land right next to the clinic and get fixed up and get back out there on the moon you're operating on. um, I think it's going to become people are going to become more station centric. So all this work going into planetary locations is going to be less important for hardcore, especially anybody who FPSs or anybody who works out of fighters and such things that are going to lead to you getting hurt a lot more. So, just some thoughts. I thought this was an interesting topic. What do you guys think? Feel free to comment here or discuss with me on Discord. I love those discussions. RedJay, #0001. And yeah, this has been a fun one. Thanks. Fly safe.
Xenothreat incursions are a goal that has been realized into objectives that can be accomplished. Star Citizen is best thought about as a project. It's a game, but it's also a way for us to develop this project into many different factors. Right now, I'm testing out a technology that we've used on the Division's machinima and in other projects, but personally, I haven't actually gone through the process and calibrated and did all that myself. So I have no idea if this is going to look good or not. But the thing of it is, I have to have faith. I trust that there has to be a product here that's worth using. And you know what? Every time I'll make that jump. Because that's why I'm here. I'm here for the adventure, the journey. Even with all the bumps, even with all the issues that pop up, I will continue to push that envelope, just like this project is. And I'm not saying don't hold the developers accountable and get the information of the QA and dev teams through the issue council and through Rear Spectrum posts on the forums, etc., that are asking for bug info and issues, and ring that bell about what the issues you're finding are, just like Paul Revere's ride or something like that. But what I am also saying is try not to get super negative and try to view this with at least neutral viewpoint. At least that sense of wonder, that sense of adventure should be what's keeping you here. And it is one of the many reasons I encourage people not to back heavily, especially for a long time until they get the lay of the land and they start feeling these cycles every year. So this is going to be my preamble for my video, if this comes out okay, audio-wise and video-wise. But more importantly, I'm trying to temper hype, keep the hype at a nice level before coming into CitizenCon, coming into the annual sale, coming into two massive in-game events, some of the largest we've ever had, and with armor sets available for free, even if they aren't the nicest, best armor sets we've ever seen. They're basically rehashes of other sets like True Death. But the point stands, there's still going to be a badge of honor that you can wear with pride that shows everyone that you stepped up and shows them that you were part of the community during this at this moment. Own this moment, enjoy it, appreciate it, and try to have some fun. Remember to bring in your org mates. Remember to encourage people that are in the free fly to at least get a game pack. That's all I highly suggest. Just get a decent starter ship, get a game pack, and call it a day. There is many options available. I did video after video about them, and I'm sure you can give that advice to your friends as well. On top of that, what you truly know they need for their playstyle, that they'll learn over the next few days. So get them in there, warts and all, and just be sure to advise them of what they're going to be expecting. With all that being said, I'm going to start wandering through the Xenothreat incursion again. Hopefully, my friend Jules is on the server. Hopefully, I'll run into him and we'll have some fun. We'll kind of see where things are. And yeah, fly safe. I should mention, by the way, this is being recorded at. Wow, that really came out bad. This was recorded at New Babbage Hospital, the first floor, Brentworth Care, and the hospital itself looks pretty good. Yeah, good production value. I'll show you all where I'm filming at. I don't know why my eyes are getting lazy, because that's not the way I look. I don't understand. Apparently I need to stretch my eyes or something. Oh my goodness. And yeah. Here we go. This is where I'm at. And you can see, for some reason, even though in the calibration it looks like it's tracking my eyes and everything perfectly, I don't understand why my eyes in the game look so I don't get it. And the lighting is good, but yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have this at the end of the video. Because this is overtime material, honestly. And let me see, if I like literally hold my eyes painfully open, like literally just hold them open. Let's see if I can make it a little better. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Here we go. Hopefully that's a little better. I could not hold my own eyes open like this for more than a minute. I think of the show Black Sheep Squadron. They talked about how they would put little pieces of tobacco in the edges of their eyes to keep them open, even though they stung when they were flying over the over the mountains and stuff like that on those long relays they did in World War II. I don't know. I don't even know if it's true. It was in a show. But yeah, I don't think I could hold my eyes open like this all the time. I think there would have to be some type of additional calibration done for it to work correctly for me. Or maybe I just get one of those, what was that movie? Clockwork Orange. The eye holding thing that held open the main guy. My brothers, let me tell you what I've experienced. Oh, all right. Shucks. Well, if this is the end of the video, I wish you all good night and remember to fly safe.